Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Number one, look at that at the top,
all right,
baby.
folks, this is the first podcast we're doing since the election night that we did, which was absolutely insane. What a couple thousand people in-house with 291,000 concurrent watching us for 8 straight hours. You guys were crazy who were with us on election night. But we thought about who would be the right person to be here to speak on Thursday to give us a little bit of insight. Somebody that played a very, very important role that maybe the opposition feared a little bit. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just thinking because they couldn't do some of the stuff that maybe they wanted to do. The great Lara Trump is in the house. It's great to have you here.
Hey, thank you. What a nice intro. I appreciate that.
Anytime. So we got a lot of stories we're going to cover. Lara, we want some inside scoop on what's going on. I know Kamala gave her speech yesterday. Just yesterday, I think the way the market reacted added $1.62 trillion of wealth to folks in America. Just so you know, with the amount of how Dow reacted, S&P's about to cross 6,000. Tom, did you say the biggest plus minus post-election ever in the history of America?
Donald Trump sparked the biggest single-day post-pop in the stock market in S&P in history.
Wow.
In history. Crypto, Bitcoin hit its highest ever. There is some unfortunate news that we can't just give all the good stuff.
What happened?
Jimmy Kimmel had a hard time last night.
I saw that.
And that's not
Bless his
appropriate.
heart.
Yeah,
That's not appropriate.
he got me emotional.
That's not appropriate. And Sonny made some comments about uneducated white women. I don't know if you've seen this or not.
So that's not
which we have to react
Sonny
to. By the
Hostin
way,
from The View,
she said these uneducated white women is why we have President Trump in the White House. Then your guy, who you love, Morning Joe, know who he playing? He said Hispanics are racist. I can't even, when I'm listening to this guy, the amount of them losing their mind. So we're going to cover a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, the media is having a coping pandemic.
Rachel Maddow couldn't wait till she blamed Russia for it. Juan Williams, Van Jones said people who don't have papers are terrified tonight. Trump sees a 50% boost in New York Jewish vote compared to 2020. There's one clip, folks, you have to see. I'm explaining this to my dad early this morning. Brooklyn doesn't want to go to school this morning. She's up 6 o'clock. I don't want to go to school today. 3 years old. She doesn't want to go to school today. So I'm downstairs and I'm explaining to Papa, I'm like, do you know how many counties, not states, Kamala outperformed Biden of 2020?
I know.
I know you know. And I'm asking him. I asked Jen. I asked Mickey. I'm like, do you think 50%? Do you think 30%? Do you think, county, not state? Rob, do you have that clip? We have to show that. We'll show that here in a minute.
It's equal to her IQ.
Zelensky pushes to congratulate Trump. Maduro had some comments. The Iranian leader tweeted something out which was interesting. Houthis declare immediate ceasefire against the IDF. I wonder why. Tesla could reach $1 trillion market cap under Trump win. New York Times admits woke ideology is losing its grip in the country. And there's a bunch of different things that's going on. And before I get into it, Rob, if you can pull up one thing, guys, I want to show you this. First, go to the numbers on what happened with us on election night. Then I'll go on Manect, and then we'll get right into the podcast. So this is us. Just 4 years ago, we started PBD Podcast. Our first live, Rob, if you can zoom in, we have 57 people join us on the first live.
57?
We hit 57. This is what I said. I said, I just want to thank all the 57 people that are here with us. So this was election night. Okay. That's PBD Podcast, concurrent. Associated Press was number 2. Wow. ABC News. Kirk, what a phenomenal job he did.
He was awesome.
Benny Johnson, Tim Cass, MSNBC, Election Time, Megyn Kelly, Daily Wire, NBC News, Al Jazeera, BBC. You're talking everybody there. And PBD Podcast was at the top. And our peak that we hit was 291 on that night. The energy in the building was ridiculous on what happened. Number one, a YouTube insider reached out to us and they looked at all the data. They said we were number 1 worldwide for all the lives. Wow. So congratulations. By the way, it wouldn't have happened with everybody that's watching us out there. You've stayed with us for 4 years. Whatever reason, you like what we talk about. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Adam's looks. Maybe it's Vinny's, when he gets angry, patriot. Maybe it's Tom's knowledge and brain. Maybe it's the fights. Maybe it's the fact that we don't judge Adam. I don't know what it is. Could be the comedy. But most importantly, the guests that have agreed to come on. And in the Trump family, the last 2 weeks, we've had the man, Donald Trump came. Eric Trump came. Now we have Laura. Cannot wait to get into the stories with you. But also for those of you guys during election time that everybody's using the Connect app, I want to say this before we get started. We started the app 4 years ago. 28 completed Connects questions answered the entire year. 2022 was 551. 2023 completed questions answered, 2593. 2024 so far, 37,000 questions have been asked and answered. So for many of you, Cuomo, you can ask him questions. Sage Steele, Tulsi, who else you got? Candace, Dave Smith, Ian Carroll, Ryan Montgomery. Jean-Claude Van Damme is on Manek right now. You can ask him questions. Literally, he just got him. Emily Austin. We have so many different people. And as well as the folks here, Tom, Vincent, Adam, myself, you can download the app and start Manecting today. With that being said, Laura.
Hello.
How does it feel now that it's over? And at what point did you guys know? I guess when you're at Mar-a-Lago, everybody's seen the pictures. President sitting there, Dana White, Elon Musk. Elon's got his kid on his shoulder. You know, we had a couple people telling us, here's what the energy is like in Mar-a-Lago. Well, at what point did you know we're winning this thing?
I think, look, we knew we had won North Carolina. We were waiting for Georgia, and we knew any minute they were going to have to call Georgia. And, you know, we have all of our people on the ground in these places giving us their feedback. Pennsylvania looked really good. And it really seemed like from everything we were hearing across the country, things were all going to trend our way. And I think it was probably around, like 12:30 in the morning or something, that we realized we probably should make our way to the convention center because there was a speech that was going to be made at some point. But it was a little bit different than 2016. 2016, I feel like every state that came in, even states like Mississippi that you know we're going to win, we're like, yeah, no, it's always good. But this time, you know, there were the 7 states that, I mean, we killed ourselves and time and time again, no one more so than my father-in-law. But it's amazing. You know, it is so much sweeter in 2024 than it ever could have been in 2020. And I actually think it's so much better overall for him. And I think it'll be better for the country. You know, I'm sure people have talked about this already, but in 2020, had he won, there was obviously so much against him, but he also would not have had a House and a Senate, right? The Democrats were in control of that. We obviously have a majority now in the Senate. We will. And the House feels pretty good. Looks like it's going to trend our way. Fingers crossed. But, you know, having gone through everything he has over the past 4 years, seeing how bad things have gotten in this country, I think has awakened a lot of people. And I don't think once you're awake, you're going to go back to sleep. I think it's why we saw people come out and vote in the numbers they did for Donald Trump in these voting blocks that have traditionally always gone Democrat. I think that it is so much better now for America and for the future of this country that Donald Trump won in 2024. I mean, all I can say is it's absolutely incredible.
I got a question for you. So we're there. We start at 7. We end at 3:30, whatever the time was. And I'm watching. We're all betting after they announced Pennsylvania, after they announced Georgia, after all this stuff that's going on. You know, Donald Trump's headed towards, you know, the convention center. Then you see the picture I think your husband posted. It's him reading the speech, right? Those papers and that big picture, which was great. So then everybody's saying, when do you think he's going to come up and speak, and how long is the speech going to be? So we're making a wager with everybody that's watching. Will it be less than 5 minutes? No. Will it be less than 10 minutes? No. Will it be less than 20 minutes? No. Will it be 30 minutes? No. Everyone's like, it's going to be over an hour, right? So he comes up at 2:26. At this point, I'm watching him on stage. He's 78 years old. He's been running and gunning, and he's up there like having fun, telling jokes. Hey, JD, why don't you say a couple words? Hey, Dana, why don't you come up here? Got to give congratulations.
Where's Bryson DeChambeau? Somebody get Bryson up here. Yeah.
So, I mean, when you and he went 26 minutes. When you're around him, and so he's your father-in-law, but he's also somebody you're helping become president, and you're married to his son, but you're also somebody that's playing a role. So, and you're playing a very important job. You don't have a light. It's not like, hey, I'm a supportive spouse. That's not you. You have your own identity that you're doing what you're doing. When you're watching this guy from all those different lenses, how do you view him when you think about Donald Trump?
Gosh, I've known him for 16 years. Actually, my 10-year wedding anniversary is tomorrow. And thank you. If you remember, that was election day in 2016, November 8th. Mm-hmm. So it was our 2-year wedding anniversary for me and Eric. I've known him for so long. I've seen him go through so much. It's hard for me to see him as anything other than my father-in-law, because that's how I've known him for so long. But I have such respect for this man. I've seen him go through the toughest things imaginable that I can't believe he's actually endured and still stood up and kept fighting and never wavered for a single second. But it's, this man, I believe, and I said this last night with Sean Hannity, I really believe when history looks back on Donald Trump, he will be one of the greatest leaders this world has ever seen. And, the reason that I think it was important for him to win in 24 instead of 20 is because now that these people are starting to realize, look, the mainstream media lies constantly. All those people you're just talking about in the intro here, all the folks who are out there melting down, the Sunnies, the whoever it is out there, Rachel Maddow, people saying they're going to put you in camps. I mean, this stuff is so outrageous. And people are starting to see, like, hey, they've lied to us about this man for so long. And all he ever wanted was to do what's right for America and to save this country, really. And he does it because he loves this country. And, I just think that I'm so honored to be by his side for all of these things. And there was that moment, I took a picture of him too when he was reading that speech backstage, the picture Eric took, because it's just, he deserves this more than anyone. He worked so hard for it. He fought against everything they threw his way. And I could not be prouder to be part of his team for this.
Why do you guys work so hard for him? Why does the entire family work so hard for him?
Well, I think we know what his ultimate goal is. And I can tell you, look, you go back and there was an Oprah interview in the 80s and she asked him, would you ever run for president? And he said, only if I felt like my country needed me. Only if I felt like things got so bad I had no other choice. I think he did it in 2016 because he knew the country needed him. And I've seen him, look at what he did his first term in office. He had constant incoming, people constantly fighting against him, the left, the media, everybody. And he actually did so many great things for America. Don't forget, he never took a salary while he was in the White House. He donated it. The only president to go into the White House, come out of the White House with less money than he went into the White House with. He's lost zeros off the back of his net worth because he loves America. And I know he knows that his charge is to save this country. And I believe turn it around. And I think whenever you're working for something that's bigger than yourself, it's very easy to keep going, to hustle, to do whatever it is you need to do. And I know him. I know his heart. I know why he's doing this. And for me, it makes it very easy to work very hard.
What's the first thing he said to you when he met you? First time Eric brought, to him and introduced you to him. What was the first thing he said to you?
Well, this is an interesting story. So I met him at the U.S. Open tennis tournament. Eric and I had been dating for a couple months. And in traditional Eric Trump fashion, he did not tell me I was going to meet his dad the day I met him. Very little information. Just, do you want to go to this tennis thing with me? And I was like, yeah. Okay. I grew up in a very middle-class family, not to get Kamala Harris on anybody.
Grew up in a middle-class family.
My parents were small business owners. I won't go with all the whole.
Did you have
I did not. I worked at a car wash.
Yeah. Did you have a nice lawn?
People had nice lawns in my neighborhood. It's true. And they cared about those lawns. But when you say you're taking me to a tennis tournament, I think, okay, we're sitting in the bleachers, whatever. So I come dressed for that. Then we roll up and we go into a separate parking area. And I notice we're not going to sit out in the bleachers. And I was like, oh, these are the nice suites that we're going to. Okay. Already felt underdressed. And then the door opens. And then there's Donald Trump and Melania Trump. And I was like, oh my God. You could have told me that you were going to introduce me to your dad. And it's the stakes are always pretty high.
What is he wearing?
He's in a suit.
He's in a suit and he had you just come.
Yeah, and I'm I have sandals on. I look, whatever.
Eric's in a suit.
Suit.
Eric was, I'm trying to remember what Eric was wearing. I actually don't remember. Sorry, honey. But my father-in-law was in a suit. You're always nervous when you meet your potential future in-laws. When the last name is Trump, it's a little bit more.
At this point, how long have you guys been together?
Like 2 months.
So he's fully committed to you. He's bringing you to meet.
Apparently.
Good for
Right?
him.
He
Yeah.
made me wait 6 years till we got married, but I digress. So we walk in, and of course, I'm like, oh my gosh. But maybe it was better I didn't know because I didn't have time to get nervous or think about it. And, you know, he shook my hand, said, nice to meet you. And then we sat down to watch tennis, and I was kind of like, oh my God, like, what do I do? And he looked over at me and he goes, I'm going to get an ice cream. Do you like ice cream? And I was like, yeah, I like ice cream. And he was like, all right, I'm going to get you an ice cream. I was like, oh my God, Donald Trump likes ice cream. Like, this could all be okay. That was sort of my intro. And that was the icebreaker. As I was like, all right, he's going to get me an ice cream. Like, we're all good now. But that was my first introduction.
And then
to him.
when he came back, did you guys have a conversation? Is he talking to you?
Yeah, he asked me about where I was from and, you know, where I'd gone to school and what I was doing, what I wanted to, why did I move to New York? All the common things. But he was very, honestly, the thing people will tell you about Donald Trump whenever you first meet him is he's very disarming. And he talks to you just like, I mean, you guys know because he came in here, but he's not, you know, sometimes you find it hard to talk to people with the stature that he has. He's not like that at all. He makes you feel comfortable. He talks to you like a real person. And, you know, I immediately was sort of at ease, you know, talking with him.
How different is he off camera versus on camera? How different is he on stage, going at it, the enemy, calling him out, trolling versus he's on Air Force One or he's on, you know, Trump, you know, you guys are flying around, you're in Mar-a-Lago, you're with the family. How different is he?
I mean, honestly, what you see with Donald Trump is pretty much what you get. The only thing I'll say is he is one of the funniest people I have ever met. There's no one who's going to tell a story like Donald Trump and make you laugh. The things that he says and the stories he has are absolutely incredible. But I think that's what people love about him is, you know, oftentimes the criticism of him is, we wish he'd be more presidential, you know, more professional. This is Donald Trump, and that's why people love him, because what you see out there truly is what you get with him. And some people would say transparent to a fault, but I don't know. He just became president and won the popular vote. And you know, he did it a second time.
So when did you get the job? When did the market announce that you are running, you know, you're responsible? Was it right after what Vivek did with Ronna McDaniel? Did you have any clue he was going to do that when he went up on stage or no?
Oh, that he wanted me to be the co-chair of the RNC? He called me. So I got a call from him. This is probably back in January. And it was weird because usually he just calls me. But somebody from his office had texted me and said, could you take a call from your father-in-law in an hour? And I was like, why wouldn't you just call me? And then whenever the call came through, he called me, but then there were several people there with him. And the ask was, would you run for co-chair of the RNC? Because this is not a position you're appointed to. You have to run, and there are 168 members of the Republican National Committee who actually vote you into this position. So had they not wanted me there, I wouldn't be here right now as the co-chair of the RNC. He could say it all day long.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So establishment, no matter what, they have to select you to
They
be
have
in
to
there.
choose you, yes.
And what percentage do you have to get? Is it 60? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a less of an official vote. It's more of everybody in favor say aye.
Got it.
Type of thing.
Yep.
But he called and he told me that he thought that this would be a great position for me. And my immediate response was absolutely not. Look, I knew the stakes in this election. I've seen how much they fought against this man. I've seen what he has to go through. And I knew how hard they were going to make this election in particular. And I have 2 young kids. I have a lot of other professional pursuits personally that I have going on. And I knew what it would take to win this election. And I said, I don't know that I want to get myself into this right now, to be honest with you. And he, of course, goes, all right, honey, no pressure, but it's got to be you type of thing, of course. He's very persuasive.
That was a pretty good Trump, by the way.
It's not
Laura.
bad. It's not bad. I've worked on it.
But did you know this was going to happen? Did you know Vivek was going to get up and blast Ronna McDaniel or no?
No, I didn't know this at all.
So this was a shocker to you.
Yeah.
Rob, we can't ever watch this enough times.
This is February, and we're here, right? We're here.
No, we're at the event. Go ahead and play this clip.
Swami, let me turn to you. Please make your case. Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you.
Ready?
And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. Do you think the Democrats, we've got Kristen Welker here. Do you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years.
Watch your face.
Was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Look at her face.
Sorry.
I don't know what to say.
I want to go home.
We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
and they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Governor Christie, why you?
Wow.
Lester, your career is up.
Do you know what I love is whenever these people in the media who try to like savagely attack all of us get just a little taste of what they throw out there, they have no idea how to handle it at all. They are that was a panicked face right there. Could you imagine if she had to be up on stage and answer that question?
Oh, yeah.
Forget it.
So when that happened, what happens next to you? Who's calling you?
So my father-in-law called with all these people.
Right after that, like that night? Or
what night was that?
I think this is February.
Right, but what I'm wondering is it like, hey, babe, you're taking over, right?
Well, I think he knew before that, he knew that he wanted to make some changes. And I think he knew that in order to successfully, win this election, you probably needed a little bit of restructuring at the RNC. And so he called and asked me if I would run for co-chair. And I told him no initially. And then to be honest, that it was that night I was putting my kids in bed and thinking about how much time I would ultimately spend away from them and how hard it would probably be on them, that I was like, you know what? I think I have to do this because I got to make sure that these kids get to live in the greatest country on earth. And I never want to second guess and say, like, what if I had done this? So here we are.
So Lara, quick question. So you come in, what do you think was the biggest thing lacking? I'm pretty sure the people were kind of telling you that Rana wasn't doing, that she was overlooking. That's the first question. And then the second, on the days leading up, election day and all that stuff, because you were dispatching lawyers and to Pennsylvania and all that stuff. What was the biggest thing that you saw yourself doing in those days leading up to stop them from doing what they were doing?
Well, I think first and foremost, we got rid of quite a few people at the RNC, and I think the RNC was probably doing too many things. Trying to be everything to everyone, you're nothing to anyone, right? And so when Michael Whatley and I took over, he's the chairman, we said we need to actually pare things back and really focus on just three things. We want to have a world-class convention, we want to get out the vote, and we want to protect the ballot. And those three things are literally all we focused on. So we put together this election integrity operation, and we said, we've got to pull so much of our resources into this and focus on this, get it structurally sound, set up, get people in place now so that we're not playing catch up. Get the rules of the road set up, making sure that people are actually cleaning their voter rolls in states. We have sued Jocelyn Benson, who's the Secretary of State of Michigan, so many times. I never want to hear her name again, my gosh. But it's because you have to have it set up right going into this election season. So the fact that that is really all we focused on, I think, was key. And then you have to get the message out, right? It's one thing to just do all this in the background, but we wanted to make sure people knew. And I said it every time I got an opportunity. I felt like a broken record talking about our program, that we had a goal of recruiting 100,000 people to do the jobs of poll watcher and poll worker around the country. We ended up with 230,000, by the way. 500 lawyers in every battleground state. But we also had to advertise it, and we had to make sure that people knew that we were serious. So every chance I got, I said, if you're going to go out there and cheat, we'll find you, we'll track you down, and we'll prosecute you to the full extent of the law. And then when we saw issues happen sometimes in the primaries, which is when we tested this program, we saw them in the early voting periods, we addressed them immediately. We did not wait. And I think that was key because anyone out there who wanted to mess around knew we weren't playing. We were taking it very seriously, and don't even try it. So I feel like mission accomplished.
In primary, what did you test? When you said we tested it in primary, how did you see areas of weakness that they were going to try to play games there? What did you notice?
Well, it was really the program we put in place. So we would have attorneys, every time a vote is cast and counted, you need eyes on it. You need people in the room watching. And so we would have our attorneys deployed to these various locations during the primaries. And if they would see a problem, we kind of had a war room set up. They would phone the problem back, and then those group of lawyers would figure out what's the best way to address it. It was just we had to work out the kinks and say, is this the best process in place for when the actual, voting starts during early voting period? Teaching the people who we had trained in these locations what to look for. Note that the machine should never be connected to the internet, how they should be recalibrated every single day. If they saw a problem, how do they report it? How do we get things done very quickly?
Laura, how do you know this stuff?
I've had to learn it all.
That's what I'm saying. You've had to learn it like in the last year.
Yeah. I'm a quick study, turns out.
So when the president calls you and says,
another reason I said, I don't know if I want this job. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to learn.
So all of this stuff is in the last year of learning. Okay, so let me ask the other question. So 7 battleground state, 500 lawyers in each, 1,500 the other places, because the numbers we've heard is 5,000. So of the 507, how are you finding the right lawyers? What is the filtering process? Is there an ad saying we're interested? Are you calling and saying... And then are they communicating with each other? How are you filtering the hires?
So we had a website set up, and we went around and we actually tried to go to local media markets and do radio and television. And we would host an opening of what we called our election integrity offices across the country in all the battleground states and in all the major cities. And we wanted to get on TV and radio and say, hey, if you're a person who wants a free, fair, and transparent election, if you're an attorney, you don't need to be trained in election law. We will train you in terms of what you need to do and what you need to know. Please go to this website and sign up. And we had a whole vetting process, a team who vetted all these people and then put the boots on the ground and got them in place.
Did you guys say what we can pay per this is this much per rate per hour? Or some of the lawyers who were better than others could get more?
Most of these people were volunteer.
Are you kidding? What percentage of the 3,500 was volunteer?
I would have to go back and actually look. But look, we had paid lawyers in the states, but I don't think it was more. It was a very small percentage. I want to say maybe 10%, maybe 5%.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And how much time did they volunteer? If you added each of these 500 lawyers' time volunteering to give in, how many hours did each give?
It was all different. It's whatever people could do. If you could do one day and that's all you could give, we would take you for the one day because that one day is important. You have early voting that usually starts 3 weeks or so out from election day, and we need people to cover these locations. But if you could give us more, we would take more.
What a brilliant
but people were so desperate to know that they could trust our elections. They were so desperate. Why do we have the disparity? 81 million votes in 2020 for a guy who campaigned out of his basement, and now people are going back and dissecting it and saying, well, wait a minute. Something looks a little off here. Do you think you cannot have a country if people don't trust our electoral process? It's not the United States anymore. And we had to do this to make sure that not only did we catch people who were cheating, but that we turned out our voters. Because if you have people around the country, imagine you're a guy who hasn't voted in the past 2 presidential election cycles. Why is it you would take your time to go out and stand in a line if you're saying they're going to cheat anyway? I might as well not even bother. So we had the reason we had to do this, obviously we want to catch anybody cheating. We wanted to be a deterrent for anyone to cheat, but we also had to give confidence to our voters that yes, your vote matters, your vote counts. And when you cast it this election, it will be worth it.
Who did you annoy the most?
Oh, a guy named Josh Helton. I'm sorry, Josh. He's one of the top of our election integrity
But
lawyers.
he's on your side.
Oh, yeah.
No, what I mean is from the opposition. Who did you annoy the most? Who on the other side was like, oh my God, they're a little bit too much. They're in this, they're
leave us alone.
Like there was a clip I saw with this guy, tall, good-looking white guy, probably in his mid-20s. He's telling the mayor, he's like, you know what you're doing. Why are you making them go across the street to vote? What county was this, Rob? Do you remember this clip?
Oh, yeah, he was outside because
like,
no,
you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. We've been asking for this. This is not a safe area. Who did you upset the most? Was it more the Obamas? Was it more the guys that know the games that you're kind of revealing? And they're like, wait a minute, they're kind of not allowing us to use the one card that we always use. Who was upset with you the most?
I'm going to say probably the DNC chair, Jamie Harrison, who tried to make fun of me and joke about me. And yeah, Lara, great job. You're going to pay off Donald Trump's league. Really nasty and just, condescending initially. Sorry, Jamie. Looks like it didn't work out for you. Michael Steele, who was also the former chair of the RNC, also didn't have very kind things to say about me. So I imagine the fact that this has been very successful is probably very annoying to
Michael
them.
Steele from the RNC was
but he's a never Trump guy. He hates us.
He was part of the
And he was embarrassed by reflection.
Probably.
You're embarrassing
There he
him
is.
by the
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for all the support and the encouragement.
Laura, staying on the RNC here, because I think it is important. I think it's almost representative of who you are in terms of what Trump has done versus the establishment. I mean, the person whose job you took, Ronna McDaniel, her maiden name is Romney. So she's a Romney. So if you just want to use sort of symbolic measures, Trump shows up 2016, just gets rid of the Bush legacy. I mean, they're done. I would argue that George W. Bush, probably the worst president we've had in terms of policy making, maybe, certainly in my lifetime. Vivek basically dismantles Ronna McDaniel. Boom, you show up. Here you are with a MAGA necklace right here.
Yeah, what's up?
So there you go. It's truly symbolic. The establishment is now done, and the Republican Party is now sort of made up under MAGA and Trump.
Yeah.
What will the future of the RNC look like with you at the helm, Trump at the helm? What will that look like?
I mean, I think it's just a lot of common sense. One of the things we did initially was we got rid of a lot of staff. There were a lot of people there who were being paid, and I'm not sure exactly what their job was, but it just seemed excessive. And it's really the approach that Donald Trump has had to when he's president. And I think you saw the proof in the pudding. Common sense stuff. And I think the thing that people are going to reflect, especially on this election, is how much he's expanded the tent in the Republican Party. And that's my hope. Look, when I took this position, I said, I want every person to realize that the Republican Party is for you. I want people who have never considered this to be a party for them to come on over. And you saw that in the vote totals. You saw voting blocks that the Democrats thought they didn't even have to work for, coming over and voting for Donald Trump in historic numbers. So my hope is starting in 2024 and going into elections in the future, we have people from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all religions, whatever you do, whoever you love, whatever you look like, it doesn't matter. This is a party for you.
I don't know.
I want to go on a couple clips. Because we haven't used these. We had her put her on. Her hair.
I know. My
You
God.
got to
Still
put it
looks
to use.
amazing.
Honestly,
Yeah.
It's very
Rob,
kind.
can you pull
Thank
up the
you.
one clip? The one clip I want to show is Jake Tapper. This is the one that I'm showing this morning. That, by the way, this to me made no sense
At all.
But I don't think there's a statistic that is more embarrassing than this, maybe in the history of politics, to say you could not. So, folks, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to see this if you haven't seen it already. Counties. How many counties do you think Kamala Harris outperformed Biden in 2020? Kamala Harris, counties, 2024, Biden, 2020. Watch Jake Tapper's reaction. Go ahead, Rob.
Are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see
Not
if there's
one.
anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
By 3% or more.
Holy smokes.
Not one county
Bless their
by
hearts.
3% or more.
Yeah.
When it comes to Kamala, she gave her wonderful speech yesterday, written by Obama, but she gave her speech yesterday, right? And she's saying what she's saying. Is that, I mean, when I woke up this morning, I'm like, who are the happiest people? I ranked who the happiest people are that Kamala didn't win. I said, number one is probably Hillary Clinton. Because
By the way, I agree with you.
yeah, I don't think she wants Kamala to be the first female president.
Absolutely not.
She's not at Hillary's level.
No.
By the way, there will be a female president. It'll be a Republican.
yeah,
Just going to go ahead and throw that out. Yeah,
so that's one. Okay, two. I think the happiest is Joe Biden.
absolutely.
Okay? Because Joe Biden didn't even stay for whatever sticking around with her. He stayed 2 miles away from her, by the way. And
He
Biden,
may have voted for Donald Trump.
He may have
I
voted
think
for
so.
even Joe Biden. Can you pull up Jill Biden?
Accidental
The
or
dress
not.
she wore when she voted. Jill Biden's dress when she
MAGA
voted.
red.
Did she really? Did she really wear red?
I don't
Are
know.
you
Look,
joking?
there she is. Look at
She
that.
wore red
Full.
when she voted.
That's on purpose.
Of course it is.
Obviously.
Okay.
Oh my.
So that's that.
She's
Okay.
bitter. She's deeply
She,
bitter.
she may be
course
more
she is.
upset than Joe.
That's
doesn't-
not an accusation. There are people that know her that say she is deeply bitter by what she regards as a coup.
So you got first
Totally.
is that. Number two is Biden. Three is maybe even Kamala. I don't even know if she wanted a job. She
I
looked
agree with that.
miserable
I think
when
she.
about-
I think she was terrified. I think she knew she was in over her head. Look. Let's be honest. Kamala Harris really had no business being vice president. Joe Biden's the one who said, "I chose her based on how she looked." Are you kidding me? What a dumb reason to choose anybody. And by the way, how insulting to women out there. This was our first vice president who did pretty much nothing. Did she do anything?
Nope.
Well,
What
she left
accomplishment?
the border open. She just,
Yeah. She did a great job at opening that border
Welcoming
wide
for
open.
future votes.
Well, first she had to find the border, which was a whole
Yeah.
other issue.
Yeah.
She finally went on down there during a campaign, right? But I agree with you. I think that she was really kind of relieved that she didn't win because I don't think she knows what the hell to do. What is she going to do as president? That's terrifying. You are the leader of the free world. That is a very big deal. She probably was worried about being vice president, and she just kind of hid in the background and did those weird NASA videos. But do you remember the ones with the kids?
Space.
Space.
That.
The
Good
vastness
space.
of space.
I have my space. Yeah, she was all over the place.
But I think then the fact that she did not win this, probably she's a little bit relieved. Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, and you see the market reacting to this. A part of it, they're like, well, it's not fair. I mean, if you can go, Rob, play one of the clips with The View, with what Sonny is saying, okay? Not the other one. Play the one with what Sonny is saying. And this is very weird, to the point that, one of the co-hosts had to interrupt. Rob, if you want to press play, go ahead. It's kind of weird what to say.
Into the demographics, because black women tried to save this country again last night. 92% of black women voted for the vice president.
All dressed as a
You
funeral.
have Latinas in the
Please.
70 percentile voting for the vice president. What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding.
Wow.
You have Latino men actually voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right.
So why do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms? And why do you think Latino men voted in favor of someone that's going to says he's going to deport the majority of his community?
White women like being called uneducated white women. I think the economy matters, national security matters. But when you put people in these boxes, I think that's a takeaway from this race.
We have to look at the demographics of it.
Wow.
By the way,
I want to
so that you can
What a
blame, so
scumbag.
you can play
Racist.
identity.
Racist.
And by the way, play now the morning Joe, because it's like the complete opposite,
Jeez.
but it's not the opposite. He's going after, watch this one. This is just as frustrating. Go ahead.
Say really quickly, too. Democrats need to be mature, and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. It's misogyny from Hispanic men.
Right.
It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about, who do not want a woman leading them. Might be race issues with Hispanics. They don't want a black woman as president of the United States. You know, the Democratic Party, I've always found when you're sitting around talking, they love to just sort of balkanize everybody into these separate groups and say, oh, white people don't like women and black people. No, it is time for the Democrats to say, okay, and you and I have talked about this before, a lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right.
A lot
and
of,
with other Hispanics. You've got some that don't like each other. And
Here
some
comes
of the
the
most
race baiter.
misogynist things I've heard going on this Get Out the Vote tour came from black men. I mean, misogynist things. So you're absolutely right. It's not simplistic. And we've got to have real honest conversations about it.
Real honest conversations.
How do you react to that?
This is why they lost. This kind of crap is why they lost. Nobody wants this. This is ridiculous. You know what? You know why people voted for Donald Trump? He had a great track record for 4 years. He did the things he said he was going to do the first 4 years in office. Kamala Harris didn't lay out a single policy point that she could point to other than price gauging. It's price gouging. I don't know what they wrote in her teleprompter. These sort of tactics, I don't think are working on people anymore. And by the way, for Sunny, I think it's something like less than 40% of the voter base in the United States has a college degree. So saying uneducated white women, I think all of this is gross. I think the American people want someone who's going to deliver for them. I think they want somebody who they know they can count on to give them a better economy, more money in their pocket, give us our energy independence again, actually close the border. Donald Trump built over 500 miles of border wall. This kind of stuff is disgusting. And I think this was an election where people are saying, please don't do the identity politics anymore because it's gross.
And it's not working. By the way, this is the data that was shown yesterday.
Yeah.
From Donald Trump 2020 to 2024. Black men,
wow.
Vinny, from 15 to 34. Black woman, 8 to 9. Latino men, 38 to 53. Latino woman, 36 to 48.
Can I ask you a question, Pat? Why? Okay, so the black women, what is the message so hardcore anti-Trump abortion? What is it that makes that group so low they can't?
That is the anchor, the base of the Democratic Party at this point.
And by the way, the Latinos, they're not voting for Trump. You know why? Because they don't want socialism. Ask Venezuelan Americans or Cuban Americans why they're voting for Donald Trump. Because they don't want this place to look like their place.
But you never hear, I don't know how often you guys watch The Daily Show these days, but it's actually funny again and relevant again that Jon Stewart is there, and they have a woman on there, Desi Lydic. She's actually super talented, and she's humor kind of transcends just sort of speaking on mics. But she's like, so you're telling me that these people voted for Trump, but then also these people, but also these people, but also these people. So everybody voted for Trump. And what you never hear is maybe Kamala, was just a horrible candidate. Maybe she was just really that bad. Maybe it wasn't misogyny. Maybe it wasn't gender.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't race. It was maybe she's a really bad candidate and people are using common sense and they're like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
On Kamala.
That's right.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Or maybe it was the economy, stupid.
All of it.
Maybe
and it's not so much a woman thing.
Be respectful to us.
Thank you, Tom.
I don't think it has anything to do with her being a woman.
It has nothing to do with her being a woman. It has everything to do with her being this particular woman. Because we were talking about Hillary earlier. She has a lot of negatives. One thing you can say about Hillary is that she isn't smart, qualified.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing. Forget about how you feel. If you just look at resumes, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, come on, guys. It's not even fair. She had no chance.
But I want to ask you a question, though.
Yeah.
Laura, I asked you, and you guys can jump in. Do you think if post-debate Trump destroys Biden, they don't do the switcheroo and all that stuff, and they stay with Biden, how closer would this election have been if they just went, riding with Biden off of one debate? How close would it have been? Because this was ridiculous. Would it have made any difference?
I don't think so. I think it would have been the same. I mean, that was such a disaster for him. And the thing is, it really exposed how much they lie. Because everybody before that was like, there's something wrong with Joe Biden. For years, we were all talking about it.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, he's fine. He's running circles around the interns in the White House. Like all that nonsense. I don't think it would have made a difference. I think people ultimately, when they get in a voting booth, and they think about their life, it's the kitchen table issues. It's how is this impacting my day-to-day? I may not love everything that Donald Trump tweets, but I sure as heck like the way my life felt when he was in the White House. I definitely felt like I could put more food on the table for my family. There was a better trajectory, in this country. I think it's over 75% of the country thinks we're on the wrong track. That is what makes a difference. So whether it was Joe Biden, who people obviously think is totally gone. I don't know who's running the country right now. He's still technically the president, by the way.
Yeah. We forget
or
about
Kamala
that.
Harris. I don't think it would have made a difference. And one of the things they said up there, by the way, that Sunny said that I think is crazy, or maybe it was one of the other ones on The View, the idea that somehow Latinos in this country don't want to vote for somebody who's deporting illegal immigrants. That has nothing to do with anything. If you are a legal citizen of America, I don't care who you are. You don't want people coming over our border illegally. We have 350 people on the terror watch list right now in America. 15,000 people who have committed sexual assault. 13,000 murderers right now in America that they've just let over the southern border. We don't want any of that in our communities. They want them out too. So it's just like, it's the idea that that's how they've tried to sell Donald Trump for all these years. People are realizing all of that is just fake, and it's nobody cares about it.
By the way, Tom, if you want to if you think about COVID, right? This is the one thing that we almost are not talking about anymore. It seems like COVID was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Honestly, if you think about it, it was only 4 years ago. Yeah. And if you think about what they tried to do during COVID, the censorship, kids not going to school, non-essential, essential, all this restaurants being put out of business, family-owned businesses that are gone. Your grandfather started this business. Now it's not there anymore.
People losing their jobs because they didn't get
people losing their jobs.
Can't
Guys
say the
being
word.
kicked out of the military because they don't want to take the vaccine.
Yep.
Guys leaving states, California, New York, leaving the state because they're like, there's no way I can. And even with conservatives leaving New York still flipped 13% towards Trump in the last 4 years. Yesterday I was on Cenk and Anna Kasparian's Young Turks. And they're asking me a question about what do you think it is? It's just, listen, 46 years old, I got 4 kids. We got a family. And we watched the whole evolution of what happened. When you're younger, maybe you're thinking a different way. You're trying to reinvest into the company. You're trying to hire more people. You're trying to, school to leave your kids alone. Like if you have certain decisions, the most basic common sense things that people care about seem to go purely conservative. And the left, the Obamas, the establishment tried to really bully during COVID. I think everybody's like, listen, I haven't forgotten yet what you did. And I don't want you to mess with me. Leave me alone. These other guys seem more sane. Rogan comes on this side. Musk comes on this side. Dana White is campaigning in ways. When we were in Dana's room a year and a half ago in his office, he's like, you're going to see me running and helping this man like I've never helped him out before. Watch what he did. He's on the stage with you guys, just, saying what Trump has done. Tom, you're saying it's the economy. So Trump wins. Dow up, God knows how much. Crypto up. S&P up. 1.6 trillion wealth created. Do you think it's as simple as the economy?
Yes, I do. And I think what simply happened, the word is freedom. And I think the markets are feeling freedom because, and I get very emotional about this because I think these underlying tenets and platforms of our country are so important. And it's not about the money. What you're seeing is freedom. You're seeing markets saying, we're not going to be regulated, constricted, and legislated against. And you're seeing markets feeling that they're going to be free and they're going to be able to go conduct business and they're going to be able to grow. And that's what markets want to do. And it is the economy. We complicated it. When I say we, the Democrats and the complicit media, they complicated it. They turned what was a simple choice to make a life better tomorrow than it is today and a vote into somehow there's something wrong with you and you're the sexist, you're the racist, there's something wrong with you that you want to vote for freedom, prosperity, and something more tomorrow than you got today. And somehow that's bad. And I am really glad that there's another loser in all this. And that loser is in the media that has approval ratings and trust of American people that is now below Congress. We never talked about it, but Congress used to have the lowest approval rating of any institution in America. We pick on the president, we pick on things like that, but it's Congress that all of us didn't trust. And we actually were bipartisan understanding of the citizenry, hoping someday to just start over. How do we just erase this and start over? And you see it. And now you see the media losing. And they're losing their contracts because their business is down. Why is their business down? Because we don't trust you and we don't want to watch you and we're watching other things. And so mainstream media is in the middle. It's not the cable and satellite conversion to online. It's a movement of the American citizen to a source of truth or balance that they can believe. And it just happens to coincide with the technological wave going from cable to over the top where we have the freedom to go anywhere and get it.
May I respond to that? Tom, number one, Vinny, do me a favor. Give Tom a hug for me. I mean, I love you, Tom. I just, out of nowhere, Tom starts crying.
I love that. That was beautiful.
Because he cares.
No, he's real. I love it.
That was beautiful.
And I want to address that because what's happening in the markets is a reflection on how the capital markets feel about Donald J. Trump, more of a capitalist than certainly what Kamala is doing over there. But it's another thing. It's not just Wall Street, it's Main Street. Because if you're in the market, only half of America is sort of in the market. Look, don't look now. You're probably richer than ever. Your 401k is higher than ever. Your house is worth more than ever. Your Bitcoin account is more than ever. Things are good. But if you're the working class, if you're the blue collar guy or gal, you're looking at the last 4 years and you're like, what? I thought this whole Bidenomics, the middle out, top up,
whatever,
top down, trickle down. What happened here, guys? And I think the base of the Trump campaign is the working class and the blue collar workers. We watched the movie, The Man You Don't Know. What was it called again? The Man You Don't Know.
The documentary.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And, they started using a term that we've heard before, and I'll say it again. He's the blue collar billionaire.
Yep.
So I totally understand why the markets are reacting to this. But from your perspective, co-chair of the RNC, how will Trump now get not just Wall Street, but Main Street back to business and defeat inflation and defeat this agenda and get America back to work?
I want to answer that, but actually just to piggyback on the freedom, right before I came on the show, my friend, who I've been friends with for like 20 years, texted me. She lives in Pennsylvania. She said, I feel so optimistic today. If I could sum it up in one word, I think the Biden presidency gave me anxiety I didn't even know was attributed to that. And I actually think a lot of people probably feel that way. And the freedom aspect of it, I don't think can be overstated. I think it's palpable. People are like, oh my God, thank God. We are not going to lose our country. We are going to close our borders. We are going to be the leader of the free world and the superpower of the world again. And I think a lot of people felt like if this election had gone the other way, we wouldn't have had that. But the economy is important. And Donald Trump has been very clear about the first thing that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did when they took the White House. The first executive order was shutting down the Keystone XL pipeline. Absolute disaster. Disaster for our economy. It obviously made us, instead of energy independent, we're now dependent on foreign governments, foreign countries, Venezuela. Look at Russia. Russia was able to enrich itself because they now supplied all of Europe with their oil. It probably allowed Putin the money and the funding to invade Ukraine and cause this war. If you look at Iran, they were able to enrich themselves as well because they got the oil pump in there, and now they're funding Hamas and Hezbollah and all of the proxies there in the Middle East, causing that whole hornet's nest. But whenever you allow us to use the liquid gold, as my father-in-law says, that's right here in America, and we're not just energy independent, he wants us to be energy dominant, a net energy exporter. That's going to naturally bring down inflation. That's going to naturally ease all of the concerns that people have out there. You're going to see prices come down naturally, or the wages are going to rise to actually meet inflation, which is not happening right now. And then I think bringing American companies back to America instead of overseas, having, manufacturing here, encouraging people to actually hire American, buy American, made in the USA on things. These are all ways that will make life a lot better, a lot easier, and economically really bring us to a place that I think is going to be great for the American people.
PBD, can I ask you to weigh in on the economy for a second? By the way, just to inject a little humor, did you see the trending thing? One of your favorite documentaries of all time, PBD? It's called The Hangover. I don't know if you saw this. And there's that scene where in the car and there's like, we're back, we're back, we're back. Like, right, the whole scene in the car. And there's a general feeling that America's back. In America, the economy is going to come back to work. Inflation's going to go down. From a businessman's perspective, why do you think people just feel so excited for America to be back?
Regulation, low taxes. To be honest with you, the tax Trump cuts from 2017, I'll never forget when I had the meeting and I told everybody for every month, told all our employees for every month you've been with the company, I'm giving you a $100 bonus. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, because this is how taxes works. If the corporate tax goes lower and it goes from 28 to 21, I say 7%. 7% on 10 million is $700,000. Hey, we can put that back into you and we can put it back into the company. No way. That's how business works. It allows us to reinvest. Oh, now I get it. So employees that were making, $45,000, $50,000 in Addison, Texas were like, I never thought about it like this before, right? So I think a part of this is also on the business owners to make that be known that here's how this works to reinvest back into the business, into the company. So that's that part. The other part. Yeah. So a lot of people kind of sitting there and saying, IPO, what happened to IPOs the last 4 years? How many IPOs do we have the last 4 years? Rob, can you pull up IPO by year 2024, 2023, 2022? How many IPOs have we had?
And SPACs. Was also
Every year, how many IPOs have we had by year? If you look up IPOs by year, not SPACs, just IPOs. If you think about IPOs by year, see if we can see that right there. Okay, 2021 is when? Okay, that's Trump right there, right? 2020, well, you got 2019, 20. Okay, that's SPACs when you're looking at 2021. That's a lot of SPACs. 181, 154, 188, right? We dropped with IPOs. We're not doing a lot of IPOs right now. Why? People are just thinking it's a bad time to go out there. What am I going to go out there? How much money am I going to raise? They're not like, hey, I'm willing to put back into the market. You're going to see the IPO market in 2026, late 2025, 2026, I believe. Tom and I talk about this all the time. I think 2026 IPO market's going to go there. I think the wealth creation of the next 4 years is going to be here, God willing. Of course, it's on the individual, but business owners are seeing an opening that there's an opportunity now. Low regulation, lower taxes to reinvest into the marketplace, and certain negotiations that he's going to be doing is going to be different. It's very simple for me. When you're voting for your president, you're asking someone to go negotiate on your behalf. Do you want Kamala Harris to go negotiate on your behalf? Americans said no. Do you want Joe Biden to go negotiate on your behalf? Or do you want Trump to go negotiate on your behalf? I think people are saying, I want Trump to go negotiate on my behalf on all the business dealings.
Well, that's right. And I always use this too when I was out on the campaign trail. You're hiring a person for a job. The people in Washington, D.C. work for us, and people forget that. This isn't a personality contest, although Donald Trump has a great personality, and I think everybody, actually, if they got to know him, would really love him. But you're hiring someone to go do a job. Yes, you're hiring them to negotiate on your behalf, and I think that is what people ultimately kind of came to in this whole election. They realize that it's bigger than, oh, I got to go with the person Hollywood tells me, like Lady Gaga told me, like Beyonce, Cardi B. Are you kidding me? By the way, I think the American people are actually very insulted whenever you have these celebrities who come out on stage and it seems very phony and like just, it's, again, the word is gross that I tend to use because it kind of feels like, ugh.
Did J-Lo not sell? Did J-Lo crying off the teleprompter not make you?
Please.
What?
You dated Diddy. That was your judgment then. And now you want us to trust your judgment to make one of the most important choices
Thomas,
of our
how you
lives?
saying that Cardi B is not going to get your vote like that when she goes like this?
You know what is funny?
That Cardi B can't step up?
Can you pull up
I'm
Cardi
saying
B's
that
last
let me
video?
tell you, there's something
You're a
insulting about it.
misogynist, Tom.
I'll tell you what's insulting
You don't know what you're
about
talking
it.
about.
What's insulting about it is that the Dems think that I don't know which is more insulting. The Dems thinking that the American populace is dumb enough to follow celebrity, popularity waves, or that the Dems are as arrogant enough to force it.
That's the one, Rob. This is Cardi B. Guys, she's pissed.
Is that
So
even
please,
her?
Oh, guys.
don't upset her. Go ahead and play this clip, Rob.
This is a rapist and an
listen,
extortionist.
I'm gonna let y'all know this
Can you
right
please
now,
go
okay?
back,
Fall
Rob?
back.
Go back. Go ahead.
Okay, so listen, I'm gonna let y'all know this right now, okay? So you little trumpets, like, y'all won. I know y'all happy, whatever the fuck. Ain't nobody acting like bitter losers. However, y'all need to leave me the fuck alone. Because I got one more fucking cigarette in me before I start lighting your asses up. Alright? And that's word to the United States of motherfucking America. Yeah.
She's at Target?
She's at Target.
Damn, it must be rough under Biden that you're at freaking Target, Cardi B. By the way, this is that the Cardi B that admittingly used to drug men and rob them while she was a stripper? Is that the same girl?
By the way, they
Allegedly
made
it
a
is.
movie, and you know who played her?
Who?
J-Lo.
Wow.
Played Cardi B.
Wow.
No, J-Lo played the other
Typecasting.
actress.
J-Lo played the other-
Cardi B was in a movie,
She
and the
was
whole
in it.
story
That's
was
right.
about
Weird.
the story about that one girl.
Hustlers.
But
Isn't
she
that what
used
it's
to.
called?
She says, "Yeah, we used to do this as well back in the days."
Weird.
Yeah, she used to do this
so
back
guess
in the-
what? Then
Yeah.
everything that she says is credible.
Listen,
Let me
they
listen to
could have
Cardi
brought
B.
out
the hell out of here.
Cardi B, Barbara
matter.
Streisand. They could have brought out Liza Minnelli from the dead, whoever it is.
I wish Harrison Ford
yeah.
wouldn't have ruined all the Indiana Jones movies.
I mean,
for me with that.
But
I didn't
is
expect
anyone
him to
shocked
do
that
it.
Hollywood, that the music industry, that any of the NBA, any of these institutions are almost sort of mandated, like, all right, get out there, do your thing. It doesn't work.
It's insulting. It doesn't work. And I do think they think people are dumb enough. You just throw a celebrity out there and they're gonna be like, oh, that's how I should vote. Look, Taylor Swift. You kidding me? She got right on board too. Didn't
Rob,
work out.
Do you have Jimmy Kimmel's
childless cat lady?
Hold on, Pat.
And
We actually
Taylor
we
Swift
need
had a
tissues, 'cause-
statistically negative impact.
Wait, do we have
Taylor
tissues,
Swift
guys?
did have
Because this
a
is
negative
emotional.
Go ahead, Rob.
Oh wow.
Donald Trump broke him.
Wow, Kimmel.
Here we go.
Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go.
Oh my
For
God.
healthcare, for climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine.
Oh, God.
For NATO.
Laura, don't cry, please.
Having a hard time holding it
hold
together.
it back. Give me the tissue, stop.
And decency. And it was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him. And guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
These people are
Wait.
absolute
Let's trap that. Bad night, you just don't know it yet. Let's look at that in a year. Let's look at that in 2 years. Let's see what's going on. Hell, let's look at that in 2 quarters after inauguration.
But this is what I want to know. This is what I want to know. There's certain moments, like I'm wondering if this was a moment. The whole Barry Goldwater 64, that all of a sudden from 64% of African Americans voting Democrat to 92%. Wow. And the Democrats owned the African American vote for 60 years till today, right? Will 2024 be one of those years where New York's going to be like, listen, man, this shit is not working. Illinois also flipped. I think Illinois flipped, 5 points or so, 4.5 points, some number like that? I know New York was 13.
We have all those numbers.
Can you show those numbers, Tom?
Yeah,
I'd like
we
to
have
see
all
it.
of them.
Yeah, show it to us.
Donald Trump is demonstrating already in the election results what a uniter he is. Take a look at this. Is the country getting closer or farther apart? So, Illinois, Joe Biden, look at that. 1 million, just a touch over 1 million votes in 2020. 2024, barely 400,000. Mm-hmm. Look at that difference. The people are getting closer together. You got the next one, Rob? We got the blue states here. New York. We were just talking about New York.
2 million. 2 million.
2 million. Wow. Now
900,000.
900,000. And then we got California, my favorite.
Oh, you don't need
says,
ID to vote.
Look at this, 5 million with the turnout year of 2020. And whether it was people
Isn't
that
that
were
amazing?
And by the way, I don't know whether it was people, it's P or P that turned out. Either people turned out or pallets of ballots mysteriously appeared. It's one or the other, but we'll leave it alone. 5 million in 2020. And look at this year, 1.7. That's it. And I think we also have Virginia. Look at Virginia, the stronghold Virginia. Look, it was 500,000 last night, under 250,000.
New Jersey was very close too.
Yeah, Jersey was
These
close.
are the ones.
So
New Jersey was actually a bit of a sweat late. And then look at the pollsters. Florida. Maybe she's got a chance.
Oh my
It was a
gosh.
13
Texas,
it was
Iowa.
a 13-point beatdown.
And look,
Okay, so let me ask this. When you see something like this, you have to always respect your opponent and not be too what do you call it? Like
Hubris,
we got it. It's
overconfident.
done. It's ours.
Yeah.
They're not going to sit around and do nothing. I'm willing to bet they had an emergency meeting yesterday. They're having an emergency meeting today on what they're going to do and what they're anticipating the Trump administration to do when they get in. So a part of what I was processing a couple of weeks ago when we were talking, I said, as of November 4th, Trump is enemy to state number one. I think November 6th, in their mind, he's only got one term. So they're going to try to find a way to hurt others more than Trump, my opinion, because Trump's not going to run again. So that boogeyman's going to go away very quickly, my opinion. I think they're going to target to find a way to divide you guys. I think they're going to try to find a way to put a wedge between Trump and JD. I think they're going to try to find a way to go after Elon. I think they're going to try to find a way to do a whole different thing and all those games that they're going to play. I don't know if a pandemic is going to work. I don't know if it's going to be all the E. Jean Carroll. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think any of those. I don't think Mar-a-Lago's worth $18 million. I don't think those things are going to work. That stuff is done. What are you guys sitting there wondering, hey, if they do this, we're going to do this. If they do that, we're going to do this. Kind of like a football coach. If they do this, we're ready for this. If they do that, we're going to do this part. Are you guys sitting around thinking about all the possibilities, and if it happens, we're ready for it? Or is that just starting now?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I I just needed a breath yesterday, truly. So we haven't really thought of that. And it's funny because people were asking me, so many people in the past couple of weeks are like, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? I said, I don't know what I'm doing on November 6th. I'm not even kidding. I actually, yesterday morning, I woke up and I was just like, oh my God, it's November 6th. Like I had thoughts and just focused so solely on November 5th for so long. So I haven't thought about that, but you're right. Look, they box themselves in to a really bad position for their party. And I think they probably did have an emergency meeting. And yes, they're always going to use some nefarious tactics to try and divide people and go after people. My God, no one more so than Donald Trump himself. Look at what they've done to this man. Our family, they've subpoenaed my husband, I don't even know, 111 times or something. Sure. But, you know, they as a party have to start reflecting on what's not working. And the idea that you can run a campaign on fear-mongering, on lying to people, the things that Jimmy Kimmel, by the way, was crying about, Donald Trump was in the White House for 4 years. That's what I don't understand with people. And they say he's going to lock people up. He's a threat to democracy, dictator on day one. Excuse me. He was there for 4 years. He never did any of that stuff. And so I think they're going to have a real problem when he does go in there. Yeah. People start feeling better about their lives. Success is actually coming back to America. And he says success will unify us. I believe that's going to happen. They as a party need to do some deep reflecting. They have moved so far left and have gone so off the deep end on so many of these issues that the average person in this country really cannot relate to it. And if they want to win elections in the future, they're going to have to figure out how to come back a little bit more to the middle.
Okay, so then I agree. I fully agree. And I don't know if they're going to do that or not. I do know I've never seen Obama this miserable, this unhappy, and it's not even anxious. He looked like he was worried that the world is going to find us something weird. By the way, today I got a very weird minect from a guy who says, hey, I just want to tell you what I think is going to be happening. I said, what's that? I don't know if it's true or not. Okay. He says, I think there's going to be a lot of people taking their lives. I said, what? Oh, man. He said, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are in there the last 4 years that they know they're going to be exposed and you're going to see a few suicides. I said, what are you talking about? Oh, by the way, that thought has never crossed my mind until he sent me this minute this morning, and I'm responding to it.
That's awful.
And I said, where are you going with this? So he's saying, look, if the truth comes out of what they did and who was involved the last 4 years, that becomes public, how do you face your wife? By the way, this is kind of like what people did in the stock market a day after 9/11. How many people were jumping off? Yep. You saw that. They're like, oh, my God. What was a margin call? The movie where some of these guys were selling short and they're like, oh, how many of these guys that were relying on margins and all this stuff and all of them, boom, they lose everything. You go from being worth $600 million, you owe $300 million. Boom, you're jumping. That's money. You lost everything, right? Here, if any of these guys, the look they gave when I watched some of their faces, it was a look of somebody that's worried about something being exposed to the world and their legacies being affected and their kids, family, everybody who ever supported them, knowing you did something dark. Mm-hmm. That part, I think, they're still going to sit there and not give that up. So that's what that guy was talking about. But for me, team-wise, you know, I talk to a lot of people. A lot of people reach out to me. I have certain people, hey, I think this is the guy that's going to be the chief of staff. This is the guy that's going to be doing this. That guy's going to be doing this. This guy's going to be doing this. Here's that guy's doing this. You know, during this season of president-elect, you got 75 days, whatever the amount of days it is, right? How many interviews, people you're talking to, people you're sitting down with, do we bring this guy? Do we bring that guy? How strategic are you guys being right now in choosing who to bring inside to help you with these jobs? And the people that are in the inside, is it all family? Is it some that are not family that are just trusted advisors? Is it some from free market? Is it some from politics? How are you guys filtering those people out today different than 2016 and 2016?
I mean, Mike, everything is different. There was so much to be learned by all of us, but certainly by my father-in-law. You know, he himself admitted when he went in the White House the first time, he really didn't know. You know, no one expected him to win. All the polls said this was impossible. And having never been in politics before, he had no transition team set up, nothing put in place. And honestly, our 2016 campaign was so small compared to what traditional presidential campaigns look like. That normally what you do is you take your campaign staff and you say, okay, you guys can apply. There's like 5,000 positions that need to be filled. You guys apply for these jobs. We want to plug you in good spots. And you know those people because you've worked with them to a certain extent. We couldn't do that in 2016. So he had to outsource and he had to listen to other people. And he'll be the first to admit that's one of the mistakes he made. And he wishes it had been different. He understands this so much more now in 2024, even maybe more so than in 2020, which is another reason that I love that he is president-elect right now. And it is the most important thing to make sure you have great people in these positions. But to have people like Elon Musk, like, Vivek Ramaswamy, potentially Tulsi Gabbard, these are people who really get it and who are so aligned. RFK Jr., these are going to be such powerful movers in this country and do such historic things, I believe, during this administration. But every position does matter. And I think we've all learned enough to know how to judge people, and you're never going to get it 100%. There'll always be, kind of bad people out there with bad intentions. But I think we've learned a lot, and Donald Trump certainly has learned a lot, and that's how strategic this process is going to be.
Is there a filtering process for it? Because for me, you know how when you're looking for a wife and, certain data you look at, lowest percentage of marriage working out dating sites, then the next one at a bar, and then the next one is, whatever, at a church, then the next one referred to you by a coworker, then the next one is from a friends and family. Then so percentage.
Is this how you look for a wife?
No, but this is the percentage of knowing
right?
more about who, because if let's just say Vinny is looking for a girl, you introduce somebody to Vinny, you may say, this is Mary, I've known her for 19 years, she's this, that. There's credibility there with the introduction being made versus here we go. I don't know who this guy is. Is there a filtering process of people that you trust to say, this guy you can vouch for, that guy? Because there was rumors saying the fact that J.D. Vance was someone that Don Jr. was very much supportive of, and, Peter Thiel was a big fan of J.D. A lot of us didn't know who J.D. was. We had heard of J.D., but because not necessarily positive things, it was more negative things that, was shown by the media in the past. And then all of a sudden, everybody sees J.D. Vance, VP? Yeah. Huh. So not Tulsi? No. Not Vivek? No. No. Huh. Who is this guy? And then you're like, who is this guy? Yeah. Right?
Now you get it.
Yeah. And you're like, this guy's a stud and a half, right? Mm-hmm. Good for him. So now he moves up to a top draft pick for 2028 being president. Great choice. Credit to the president for deciding he's got to pick at the end of the day. But people are bringing names to him. Who are you choosing as people to give feedback with credibility on who they should pick on the team?
Well, there's a transition team, and there's a whole process they go through. Howard Lutnick and my husband's involved, Don's involved, Linda McMahon, along with Howard, I think are the two kind of heads of that. And there's a process, and I think the people like Linda McMahon, by the way, who's been around forever, and she's been part of the team. She was in the administration in 2016 or throughout the first term in office. These are trusted people, and they know what needs to be done, and they have a great vetting process. I'm not personally part of the transition team directly, but I know that, again, all of these people have learned so much. We know what we need to do. We know what to look for. And I think most importantly, we know what we don't want in there, and those people we're going to keep out.
So when we think about couple power, in politics, a lot of times couple power is, wow, John F. Kennedy and his wife, Jackie. She's so beautiful. She dresses so well. Awesome. Boom. Oh, my God. Couple power, Ronald Reagan and Nancy. True couple power. I had Ken Hachikian here, who was a chief speechwriter for Reagan, and he worked under Nixon. He said Nancy was feared by everybody. She was tough behind closed doors. And she would do the firing for everybody because Ronald didn't like to fire people.
Wow.
It was Nancy firing.
Get it, girl.
And yeah, that's right. So that's Nancy. So that's a couple power, right? Bill and Hillary Clinton, love them or hate them. That's a couple power, right? If you think about it. You and Eric are a couple power now, right? The two of you. And I asked Eric this the other day, and I know Eric had alluded to it before in the past as well. It's kind of interesting that, you guys are both now, you're getting your experience in this the last 12 months, and he's getting his experience with everything that's happened with the 111, what was it, 111, 112
Subpoenas
that, no one in the history. Now, you guys are experiencing that part, which means your skin is getting thicker. And
I don't think it gets much thicker than all of us in the Trump family at this point.
But I'm saying outside of Trump.
Yeah.
So is there any desires later on for you guys to want to possibly consider running? And by the way, I know it's like, it's too early to tell. Pat, give us a day. I get that. But I asked this from Eric, and he's talked about this.
Yeah.
Is there any that if there was the opportunity that come up, you guys would consider it?
I would be crazy if I said no. Of course. Look, I think the interesting ride for all of us in this is we've actually gotten to go out there and experience the entire country. And by the way, even 3 days ago, I was doing interviews and people were saying, what do you feel out there? What's going on? And I said, it feels like 2016 to me, but on steroids, which is what I said about this election. Mm. When you go out and you're among the country and you're among the people of the country and you actually interact with people, not only do you get a sense of things going on, but you actually get to know people and hear how their life has been impacted, either negatively, like what's going on right now, or positively, like I heard from so many people when my father-in-law was president. And I think it's really powerful to know that you can make a difference in people's lives. And it's been such an honor to be a part of, like a small part of all of this for me. I never in my wildest dreams would have, first of all, expected the last name Trump, let alone all of this. And so, yeah, I mean, I am open. I think Eric is open to whatever the future holds.
Yeah. When you think couple power, I love competition. To me, it's like anything that's when I think couple power on the right, think couple power. Think couple power. Don't think an individual. There's a lot of power in couple power. A lot of power in couple power. Okay? If you think couple power, I don't know if I have anybody ahead of you guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Who else would it be?
No, but by the way, a big part of me saying that is because of you.
Oh, well, thank
Eric
you.
is formidable, but you and Eric together, dude, you're talking about managing the 500 lawyers in 7 states and understanding these games that are going to be played again. Because if you're going into this world and you don't know the games, what do you? So that part of it, very interesting.
Yeah.
Just right here while we're sitting here together, I'm just thinking here, saying, I can't think about who was on the stage. I mean, obviously, listen, I don't want to take anything away from Chris Christie and family.
No, don't
I don't
do
want to do
that.
that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go that far. But if you really think about it, this is so. So then that to me means, and I'll put this, and we can go to the next topic. That to me means is what is the level of protection? Because remember what the fear with the family was. The Kennedy family. And I'm using that case study because you can't use the Bush family as much. I think the only case study that we can go to, truly, right? I think it's only Kennedy family.
True, we seem to invent roles for our first lady to create relevance like we did. Now, there was legitimacy in W's wife. Because education, she was a career teacher, she cared deeply about it. But to care about something and have a background in it, it's much different from someone who has stepped into the arena, put on the gloves, and actually accomplished big things in the bloody reality of the fights of this world. And I think you have done that.
But Tom, even
reluctantly at first, we hear.
But but let me tell you where I'm going with this. Let me tell you where I'm going with this. We built an insurance company from 66 agents to 60,000 agents. We've licensed 60. We sold the company 2 years ago. And it was a great success. But I tell you when the breaking point was when the company took off is when, let's just say I'm working with Vinny and Vinny's by himself, but I'm working with Eric, and then through Eric, I meet you. And let's say Vinny, for this case, is more capable than Eric individually, but he's not with you guys together. The level of outgrowing Vinny individually is not 2-to-1. It was 5-to-1.
Wow.
So, and then we said, guys, today top 50 earners in the company. 45 out of top 50 earners, husband and wife build a business together.
Whoa.
45 out of 50 do the business together. Okay. So to me, I think when that happens, the place where I was going was the protection of the entire family. Because you guys are now becoming I just looked at your age. I had you late 30s. I saw your
I'll
age.
take it.
We're both Libras. You're October.
Oh.
I'm October 18th.
Okay.
And
Happy belated.
And by the way, that guy, Steel guy you just showed, he's October 19th. I can't believe he's a Libra. I'm very disappointed.
Yeah.
He's a Libra.
You like a little more balance, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But the point being, if you guys are all young, that's 30 years of threat.
Good.
That's not good news for them.
Good.
So to me, if I'm thinking dark enemy, what they're thinking, I'm thinking Trump to them is like no longer their number one priority. And I'm not saying it in a disrespectful way. I'm saying it from the standpoint of there's got to be somebody behind closed doors that's sitting there saying, hey, guys, Don, you can't go do this anymore by yourself. These two got to go with you. Eric, boom. Hey, what's the granddaughter? Ava, what's her name that she's on stage? She's a rock star.
Kai.
Oh my God,
Isn't
she's
she
a rock
great?
star.
Yeah. We're so proud
She's
of Kai.
ridiculous,
I
right?
know.
Barron, the amount of articles talking about Barron is the reason why Trump got elected because of all
is
the
that what they're
podcasts.
saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
podcasts.
It's a young podcast.
And all the podcasts and all
I
these
agree
roles.
with that, by the way. Those
Yeah.
that made a difference. You guys here made a
I
difference.
love it.
What-
makes
so
a difference.
What would you say about Barron? Listen, I've hung out with a few of you. Barron's been very unique of a guy to be on. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sitting there for an hour and a half, and I'm like, this guy's so entertaining.
Yeah.
Talking crap, telling jokes, telling stories. Bunch of 30, 40, 50-year-olds are sitting there listening to him. He controlled the table for like an hour and a half. How is Barron?
He's so cool. That's like the one word I'll use for Barron. He's very cool. He's like the sleeper a little bit. He's kind of stayed out of the spotlight, probably intentionally.
It's very hard to do so when you're 6'10", by the way.
It's a little hard to do. I
Yeah,
know.
you kind of stick out.
It's funny when I saw him on stage. I'm used to my husband and my father-in-law like being the tallest people, and then I saw like a clip of us all walking on stage the other night, and I was like, God, Barron makes us all look so little, which is okay with me because I'm 5'11". I don't mind taking a little bit off. Yeah, he's really smart. He's very cool, very entertaining. He's his father's son. Like, there's no doubt about it. And he's going to do really incredible things. I think you've already seen so far. He's really come in. And there have been many times I've been traveling over the course of the campaign with my father-in-law in the car with him going places. And Barron will call and he'll say, Dad, I have an idea as to how you can get more votes. And it'll be, you need to go meet, go to this baseball stadium or do this, whatever. Wow. He's always throwing ideas out there. And so, yeah, we got to give Barron some serious credit. But by the way, just to go back to something you were saying about, I guess, what somebody wrote into you, the idea that there could be a lot exposed, I fully agree with that.
Yes.
I think if you have a completely dark room and there's an absence of light, even if you put a little pinprick in and you get a little bit of light in, soon you start to see a lot more. I think people are starting to see a lot more. I wonder why Letitia James felt like she had to come out yesterday and say a little something.
That's right.
I think a lot of these people know. They know what they did was wrong. They know that there was some sort of illegal collusion. They know that if it is all exposed, they are going to look horrible. And I hope we learn all of it, because what they have done to my father-in-law, what they've done to our family is egregious. It should never happen in the United States of America. Well, the only rationale I have, honestly, at so many times is that God was such a part of this election and had my father-in-law's back, whether it's the Butler, Pennsylvania rally where he almost got killed, whether it's all of these court cases and, 34 felony counts. Are you kidding me? All of this stuff, any other person would have just been defeated day one, except him. And I give him so much credit for him, and I have so much respect for him.
Right, Rob, I agree, Rob. Can you pull up
Barron.
that picture, Rob? The picture of Barron 2016 versus 2024.
I know. What a difference.
That's the best picture people
Makes me feel really old.
It was, well, you got to see this because they're sharing this. If you can pull this up, Rob. So it's a picture of him in 26. Go to the first one on the left. Look at him.
Look how cute
Look at
Barron
him, right?
was.
And then look at him now.
I know. But do you see? I'm used to my father-in-law being pretty much taller than everybody.
How
and
tall
my
is he,
husband.
by the way?
Who?
Is he 6'8"? Is he 6'9"? How
I think
tall?
he's 6'7".
Okay.
Yeah, because Eric is 6'5", and he's
Eric is tall.
Yeah.
Don't
Eric is
discount one thing about Barron Trump. I mean, you guys all kind of were novices. You came to this, in
You're right.
2016. You guys were in real estate. You guys were in other businesses.
been watching the whole time.
Barron Trump was raised in the White House.
Yeah.
He's the only Trump child that literally grew up in the White House.
That's right.
So his perspective is vastly different from probably everybody else's.
That's true.
And Pat, just real quick, Laura, you guys made a point. I just looked it up on Drudge Report. The DOJ is moving to wind down Trump criminal cases before he takes office. The steps complies with longstanding Justice Department policy that a sitting president can't be prosecuted. Yeah. Two people familiar with the matter told NBC. That's the story right there. And you're right. And there's so many. I mean, in all different avenues too, Laura. It's not only just the corruption from Crossfire, the hurricane, the COVID, everything that they did. He's going, and we hope, because that's what he says. I want him to slowly. And I was on Piers yesterday, and they were like, "Well, what can he do to bring peace?" And I go, "Peace is fine. I want to bring people together, but we want accountability for every single person that for the last 8 years, Fauci, everybody that was trying to destroy him illegally, and we got to the point with lawfare with everything right now. We want, me personally, I think our viewers and Americans want accountability to hold these people's feet to the fire. And even when Elon was talking about why all these billionaires were backing Kamala, because they know if Trump is in, he's exposing all of them for everything, and that's what we want.
Yeah, and by the way, you go back to 2016 and the Russia collusion hoax, which was, I mean, I can't tell you how the first time any of us heard any of this, we were like, Russia? We couldn't have even colluded with Iowa, Russia. But you know who did collude with Russia was the Hillary Clinton campaign with and the DNC.
Yep.
Okay? And you know what their punishment was? $83,000.
Yeah, that's it.
It's absolutely ridiculous. There were so many people, good people, who really believed in Donald Trump and what he was doing in 2016. These are campaign staffers who had their lives ruined because of a lie, because of bad information and a purposeful amplifying of bad information. And it's so gross what these people did. Someone deserves to be held accountable.
Yep.
The Russia lie is still a thing. They're still constantly, we're trying to bring that up. That stuff should not be happening. Let's just start choosing people based on policies and what they're going to do for the country and not peddling these lies and ruining people's lives. It's awful. These people, how much money they had to pay in legal fees, they can't afford those things. It's been horrific.
Well, the air cover is over.
Yeah.
The air cover is over because this is why Letitia James is saying things. This is why Jack Smith, his staff members were concerned about malicious prosecution if suits coming the other way if Trump was elected. Oh, damn, that just happened, huh?
Yeah.
So that's what's going on here. And I look at people like Lena Khan, the chairman of the FTC, an absolute anti-business, anti-capitalist, and she has a 7-year term. And now, Trump needs to use, in my humble opinion, his effort and might of the office to remove her. Because there's not just Letitia James, there's not just Jack Smith. There are people that are heading 3-letter agencies, such as Jessica Rosenworcel of the FCC, that just allowed George Soros to buy 200 radio stations on an accelerated decision. How do we unwind that? But there are people that are like chairman, and they have those odd tenures. Sometimes you get appointed for 5 years, sometimes you appointed for 7. Is the president? Does he have, in addition to having the filter right now during transition, much different than before, to keep the suits and all the K Street guys from coming up and pushing their angles? What about the ones that are in place, like Lena Khan of FTC that's got a 7-year term? Is there some muscle going to be put behind that to remove the bad apples that have been appointed?
It is, I think, probably going to be his favorite thing to do. If you go back and listen to him, James Comey, he says, I should have fired that guy day one. I knew he was a bad guy. I knew that he shouldn't have been there. But I listened to the people around me in the White House, a lot of these people, these suits, these swamp creatures from D.C., I listened to them. They said, sir, you can't do that. Believe me, that will be his pleasure to get rid of these kind of people, because he saw how badly it hurt, not just him, but the entire country. Whenever he was in office and post him being in office, those are the people who are really ruining our country. And bad apple is a very nice way to describe them. There's a lot of better words you could probably use.
If we thought the S&P popped yesterday after the election, wait till you see what it does when they see Lena Khan walking across a parking lot with a cardboard box.
Or Gary Gensler, because there's a lot of people in the crypto community. They're super excited to see him.
But by the way,
exit
again,
stage left.
that's what I'm saying about the fact that this guy sent me this message.
Yeah.
It's a little weird to say it, but I believe him.
I do too.
Yeah.
I believe
Of
him.
course.
That's if Trump because there's a part that, remember when people were like, well, Bobby Kennedy is going to take voters away from Trump or Biden? That was just 6 months ago. Bobby Kennedy is going to take voters away. Who's he going to take more voters away? I think he's going to take more voters away from this or that. And we'll go, I think he's going to play a very important role. Do you think he has a chance of becoming a president? Why do you think so many people want Bobby Kennedy? Because they want to get and find out what the hell happened with Fauci, NIH, CDC, all that stuff, right? He's in there.
Oh, my
They
God.
can't stand this guy.
Yes.
They hate Bobby.
Yep.
The establishment cannot stand anything about Bobby whatsoever. And you're going to give him a little bit of power to go and say, I'm sorry, let me see. Oh, my God.
Did you see Bobby's?
Way, right? This is going on. Then some of the other guys that are going to come in, I don't know. I think the part I'm excited about where, you know, law and order, when we're talking law and order and justice and all this stuff, you know, guy says, PBD called 2024 the year of investigations. We called that December of 2023. I said, 2024 is going to be the year of investigations. He said, I think 2025 is going to be the year of justice, right? Ooh. He called I like that, the year of justice. But I think if it does happen, it'll give a lot of people hope that there is such a thing as accountability.
Oh, please.
If it does, okay, we still don't know the side effects of what these 7-year-old kids went through in 2020 when they couldn't go to school for a year. We still are not going to see that for 10 years,
right?
20 years. We're not going to see that. Like, imagine the most traumatic thing you went through. I'm in Iran, the bomb and war. You see that later on, the anxiety, the fear, the panic, right? Like, oh my God, what is this all about, right? You don't know what's going to happen with some of these guys. Now, you need some hardship to be tougher and have a thicker skin. But I would love to see accountability, not in a using the DOJ to go after people. Actual proof. What did you do? Actual proof where Mark Zuckerberg comes out, dear Honorable Chairman Jim Jordan, the $400 million that I made, I regret that the Biden-Harris administration was asking us to, we should have never done this, and it's, the buck stops with me, right? And he's publicly saying this 5 months ago. Man, if they go and do this Twitter files, if you guys do the FBI files, the DOJ files, if you guys do the CIA files, you guys start doing stuff like that, America's going to start believing in law and order again. And he goes, yeah, you guys can't. That's why I think some of those guys, when the guy sent a message in the morning, some people are walking on eggshells today.
Some people might be flying to move, like a billionaire Reid Hoffman might be thinking about leaving the country and going somewhere else. No, what do you mean? And you nailed it, Pat. Those kids that were masked, we saw the videos where their teachers are putting masks on these little 3-year-olds. Remember that, Laura? The kids crying and bawling. Besides that, Pat, what about those 7 years old that were jabbed with this thing that they have no idea what's going to happen? A lot of this myocarditis having. I want accountability. I'm going to be selfish because we want it. We've suffered for 8 years of what they've been doing to us, ridiculing us, lying to us, using lawfare. It's time, and I get it. He wants a legacy and everything, but I want accountability, and I want people like you. I love that you said that, Pat. Fauci, that yesterday, Fauci was like, oh God, if he puts RFK in there. RFK wrote the real Dr. Fauci. That I cannot. I'm happy you made that point. Those people need to be held accountable for what they did to America.
There's also little voices that I'm loving. I saw a post on X yesterday from a woman that's not in the United States. She says, if Trump wins, I'm moving to the United States.
Oh, I love that.
Should I live in Miami or should I live in New York? What are your suggestions? I sent her a note back and I said, you should move to Miami. Florida is a great place.
Now that Miami-Dade County's red.
Let's
go.
Exactly.
Move on down.
Thank you, Mayor Francis Suarez, again for your leadership. It's a red county, baby.
This was RFK's tweet yesterday. Did you see this?
Wow.
I mean, this is pretty
war
interesting.
On public health is about to end. This includes its aggressive suppression of psychedelics, peptide stem cells, raw milk, hyperbaric therapies, chelating compounds, ivermectin, hydrocolloids of vitamins, foods, sunshine, exercise, nutrition, and anything else that advances human health and can't be patented by pharma. If you work for the FDA and are part of this corrupt system, I have 2 messages for you. Preserve your records, and 2, pack your bags.
Wow. You know what number 1 is? Because if you don't preserve your records, in addition to prosecution, we're going to go after you for obstruction of justice.
If RFK, so let's just say hypothetically, whose job would RFK take? Who do you think it would be? Rachel Levine. Could you show who's in charge of America's health right now? Can you show RFK's ripped, jacked, he's old. That's who he's going to take the job from.
Still serving as director of whatever she does?
That. Let me explain something to you. That's the job. He's going to take that person's job. I hope to God that's who's in charge of America's health. Period. And do I need to say more?
No. There's an expiration date on her resume, and it's here.
Yeah, good.
That's all we needed.
That's it.
That's it.
I just thought of that.
Rob, so show the last clip before we wrap up here. Can you show some of the highlight reel of people losing their minds? If you
I haven't seen any of these yet.
I sleep to these.
Oh, no. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay. This is not okay. This simply will not do. And this is not okay.
Laura, it's not okay, Laura, what you guys did.
Devastated. Another mother, probably with kids.
Wait, I love this part. Look.
I'm sorry. No. Why?
This is all pray. Like,
you voted against me.
This is
you
my favorite.
voted against my right to live.
What?
You voted against all the women
Batman.
and their rights. I hope you enjoy your cheap fucking gas.
Oh my!
I personally think that if all of these men are
this.
voting to take our rights away, they don't deserve to touch a woman for the next 4 years.
Don't worry,
So,
they won't. You're going to be
Hope
okay.
you thought that through, you guys.
Yeah.
I think you're safe,
I
babe.
think they're gonna live. It's gonna be okay.
It's not okay.
Oh my God.
Oh man, this is amazing.
Laura, I do have a question on this because, well, you know, what do they say? What's the famous say? The 3 stages of truth. At first, it's ridiculed. Second, it's violently opposed. And then third, it just becomes self-evident. I think that's what basically happened with Trump. No way, 2016 House, no way. Violently opposed, COVID. And now it's just like, come on, guys. Common sense is here. But you, Aaron Elmore, our friend Elizabeth Pipko, Sage Steele, you guys really catapulted Trump with women. You guys had the whole Women for Trump. You're going on TikTok. I see you're doing your thing. For the women out there that are so scared that they're never going to have rights again.
God.
As a woman, as a mother, child of 2, you're about to have your 10th anniversary. Talk to the women out there. What should they expect from the Trump administration?
Well, I hate to break it to them. They've been lied to by the mainstream media, by the Democrats, by Kamala Harris herself. Donald Trump has always said he's never going to sign a federal abortion ban. Everyone says they're taking our rights away. No. Actually, the most democratic of things happened, which is that it left the issue of abortion has left the Supreme Court making a decision. It's out of the hands of the federal government, and it is now in the states, and we, the people in our respective states, have an opportunity to decide on it. So you can vote in your state for whatever you think is best for you. And it has been an issue they've obviously weaponized for decades, but they specifically tried to do it in this election. And I think the idea for them was we have to scare people. If your goals are just to scare people into voting for you, I think you're losing. And clearly they did, because Donald Trump won 52% of the women vote in the country in this election.
Was that the number?
Yeah. And so
52% of the women voted for Trump.
But guess what he is going to do? He's going to make sure that if you're a woman who's looking for a better job, you got a better job prospect out there. If you're a mom out there, you're going to have more money for your kids. You're going to be able to buy them some better clothes for school, whatever it is. Your life is going to be exponentially better because Donald Trump is in the White House. And you can go back and look 4 years ago, and by every quantifiable metric, he actually did that for people. Whether it was the southern border, whether it was peace through strength, first president in 82 years with no new wars, those are good things. If you've got kids who are, military age, maybe you're a woman who's got an 18, 20-year-old kid, you're probably going to be happy that your kid's not going to be shipped off to fight in a war right now because Donald Trump wants to end them.
Thank you for that explanation, especially the second part, because I think what often gets overlooked is that when it comes to women, it's like, oh, do they have the right to kill their child or not?
Yeah.
It's like, guys, hold on.
Well,
we get it, abortion. But women, they also actually have
Maybe they want to buy a home.
Yeah,
Maybe
they actually have jobs.
Yeah.
They need money. They have they're dealing with everything else that we all are. It's not just, can we remove babies? Because that is so important that women have other issues too, other than abortion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I sent Rob this clip. Rob, can you play it? The CNN one with the guy. I don't know if you saw this. I know we're closing up, but it was the guy on CNN. He's there. A male Kamala Harris voter starts to cry because he's upset, Laura, that he's like, my daughters aren't going to be able to kill my grandkids in the future. This is look at how emotional these low-T people, these men, these are the soft Jimmy Kimmel men, Pat. They are soft. Look at what he was sad about. Go ahead.
Who did you vote for today?
I voted for Kamala Harris.
Why is that?
I have 3 daughters, 4 children overall, and women's rights is pretty important to them and my daughters. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional about that. I didn't think that I was going to do that, but just their bodies, their choice type of a mentality. I want them to grow up in a world that's welcoming to everybody.
What I'm trying to find out is, let's say you're for that. Nothing wrong with different ideas. I'm a Christian. My position is very clear where I'm at. We got 4 kids. I would keep my wife pregnant for 20 years, but she's not having it, and I'm happy to have the 4. But she would stay pregnant. She would have a 3-month break every year. And it would be pregnant the other 9 months.
Thank God your wife stood up for herself.
Yeah. Well.
So, by the way, Eric Trump would love another kid, but we're all tapped out. I think we're set.
I think you guys got one more. I think you got one more in you. I think. Well, let me tell you, Jen, my wife, she we had our last one at 43.
Wow.
42, 43. Yeah. So.
All right, well, this isn't helping me. Go ahead.
She's like, next story.
But let me tell you this. Like, even if you're this, okay, let's just say you're pro-choice. What are you telling your, let's have the conversation at 9. Honey, let me tell you why.
Yeah.
Do you realize one day when you go have so much unprotected sex and get
Dad,
pregnant,
keep going, Dad.
And then after 2, 3, 4 months, you change your mind, you don't want to have it?
Yeah.
I'm going to be there for you to get that abortion.
God, I love you, Dad.
I just want you to sell me the dream. But honestly, I understand the idea of saying my body, my choice. But for father, like LeBron James posted a picture, I don't know if you saw this or not, I will always be there for you. Bro, you're not going to be there when she's hooking up with another guy. She's going to do her decisions.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm trying to visually, you're having a conversation with your kids. You're trying to teach them a lesson. Actually role play talking to your 12-year-old daughter about what this policy means. What do you tell them?
But I think this guy, this is an instance where these people have bought into the idea that they should feel guilty and that they're going to feel like morally superior voting for Kamala Harris. They think Donald Trump is a bad person. They believe the lies about him. And they've been told, if you vote for this woman, you're going to feel better about yourself. I think that's what happens with some of these people. It's a shame because it is. It's just that they've been getting their information from bad sources and they have no idea what they're talking about. But, sad for him it didn't work out.
Yeah, and Tom, remember yesterday we were talking about this and you brought up the whole abortion and Margaret Singer and all that stuff, and you got it was deep.
Oh, it's very deep. Yeah,
we can go really deep on that. Maybe another time because there's a lot. There's a lot to it.
As a woman,
Are you identifying with that today?
I'm in my menstruate cycle right now.
Oh,
I actually have to pee really badly.
You're having cramps.
By the way, we do the podcast
Yeah.
Tuesday night. Okay. We start at 7. We go till 3 o'clock. Tom, do you know when's the last time in my life I went 8 hours straight, no bathroom?
Oh
break?
my God!
That's the only time I've ever done.
You didn't get up at all.
If you look at the live, I sat in the chair for 8 straight hours.
Look at this guy. Look at this. Not even 2 hours, Laura. I'm gonna be right back. Laura, she's here. What kind of?
Adam.
Must have been something I said. Gotta go.
Bob noticed as soon as we started talking about women's rights and abortions, he has to leave.
He's actually emotional.
Yeah. So as soon as you start talking about this stuff, he starts thinking about men's prostate health, and all of a sudden he's running down the hall in a panic.
I was making a list of flag carriers for 2024 campaign.
Yeah,
actual flag carriers, people that played a big role for this to happen, because this time around there was a lot of solid alliances that was made. If you think about flag carriers, you have to put Musk there for sure, top 10, maybe on the one list outside of president because he's number one. He's doing the work. You got Musk, you got Dana. You got Rogan. You got a lot of these podcasters that he went on. You got the family. You got the Viveks of the world, the J.D. Vances of the world. I think Charlie Kirk is top 10, to be honest with you. I think
Charlie's
Charlie
done an amazing job.
Oh, my God.
He's incredible,
I told him the other day, I'm constantly going to tell him. I don't know if he likes compliments, but I told him, I said, you're playing a very, very important role. But I also think you played a very big role for this one.
Thank you.
I really think you played a very big role because when you were up there like, okay, go ahead and try, see what's going to happen. Our lawyers will get a hold of you. That strategy of playing offense and holding their foot to the fire and say, go ahead and try to see what's going to happen if you do this. Applaud you guys for the victory.
Thank you.
Seriously, when I watch you guys on stage and I'm watching saying, we've gone on stretches of working our tails off. When you're building a business family, my wife's a very hard-working person. You know, we have traveled, and she's always got an office next to my office. She's in the office 5 days a week. She's upstairs.
She's outside right now.
Right now, yeah.
She's waiting to say hi.
No, she specifically came from the other building just to say hi to
I'm
you.
so
She came
honored.
from the
That's
12
She made
other.
fun of me when I used the restroom right there. She said, "You get out there. You have a little period."
Good for you, babe. Please keep doing that with this guy. We got to toughen him up. But it's great to have you here. We're
Thank
excited
you.
to see what you guys do next. Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
In a major way. And I guess we'll see what's going to happen next, because you guys got 75 days to put that team together. And then there's the inauguration. And then it's time to get to work and get everything going.
And we will get to work. Don't worry about it.
We believe you.
Yeah.
We believe you. Guys, I don't think we have another podcast we're doing this week. And next week, I think we're doing only one, because we will be in D.C. We got to do some things in D.C. next week for those that are going to CXO. You know where we're going next week, and I will be back again. God bless everybody. Have a great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.